We just went 4 for 4 in our PrizePicks entry for UFC 321, and we're going to be looking to continue that success into UFC Vegas 110. If you don't know what PrizePicks is, it's daily fantasy. You come in here, you say more or less than any of the numbers you see on the screen, you slap a few of them together, and you can win some very real money. They'll even give you free money to play. The only thing you need to do to get that free money is go to wewantpicks.com/PrizePicks, use promo code WWP, make an entry, let's say $5, and they'll give you $50 for free. I'm about to give you an entry right now. Throw $5 at this. Then you will have $50 in your account instantly that you can use to build whatever you want. That's wewantpicks.com/PrizePicks, promo code WWP. I mentioned UFC 321 was a resounding success. We had a nice 4-leg entry, and all 4 of those legs hit. Let's look to do more of the same here. I've got 3 legs to give you on this card. This card's a little trickier than the last one was, but we're going to start with the popular tab. We love it. This shows us what most people are doing. Now, we don't know if people are doing more or less on some of these, but we do know these are the lines that they like. And what jumped out at me was the David Onama line. I said 35.5 seems low, so I went through his full fight history. I used the data on my website, wewantpicks.com, and that data told me this dude cruises past this number. And I said, you know what? Let me go to first round finishes just in case this fight's over quick. And he still gets past this number. So we're good with David Onama more than 35.5 significant strikes. The Alice Ardeline line stood out a little bit because you're like, oh, it's women. Over 2.5 on a lady fight. It's pretty straightforward. It's not, though. Montserrat Ruiz quits and gets finished. Alice is very tough. Alice is not very dangerous, so that 2.5 should be okay. But I'm not going to do a 2.5 with the little green goblin when one of the women in that fight gets finished more often than not. So we're going to leave that one alone. The rest of these are very intriguing. There's another one I like, but let's do it on the individual tab. If we go to significant strikes, there's a couple of fights here that stood out at me as well. Obviously, Phil Rowe has a low number, but Phil Rowe doesn't put up high volume. He kind of takes his time. He waits, he looks, he finds his shots. If Seok comes in here shooting a bunch of takedowns, that'll also keep this number low, so we're going to leave that one alone. Billy Elikana at 26.5 was another one that jumped out at me as low, but he's going to back up. He likes to counter strike, so he needs the forward pressure to be able to throw back. 26.5, while it is a low number and the more is probably fine, there's another line on that fight that I like a little bit better than that. The rest of these, we're just going to go ahead and leave alone. There's a couple of nuances, a couple of odd things that could happen, right? We got heavyweights. We're not going to touch heavyweights. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on here that we're just going to leave alone. Total rounds. We've got a couple here that I like. We're actually going to close out our entry here. If we go down to Waldo Cortez Acosta, I'm going to do the more there. I get that they're heavyweights. I get they both hit hard, but Waldo is by no means like a heavy-handed finishing heavyweight. He's a fast, athletic guy that does well in those type fights. He does well when he can be a little faster, a little more athletic. He doesn't come out just swinging, looking to take your head off. He fights that sort of work to the next round kind of fight. I think over 1.5 is pretty solid here. I'm actually surprised it's a 1.5 round line on PrizePicks because it's a 2.5 round line on most sports books. And then the last one I do like, the main event more than 1.5 rounds is solid. The only reason I did the David Onama strike line over the main event round line is because David Onama, even in 1-round fights, gets past his number. So I'm just going to do David Onama strike line, but you can do the 1.5 round line as well. The payout's exactly the same, so if you're more comfortable with one than the other, then go ahead and jump on that. The last line I like here is the Billy Elikana fight line. 1.5 rounds to me seems pretty solid. Billy Elikana is not, while he does have finishes, he's not a guy that's going to come out here and look to take your head off. Billy Elikana is a guy that waits for you to pressure, waits for you to come forward so he can counter strike. He takes his time. He's fighting a 6'7" behemoth of a man, so I imagine he'll take even more time. That dude's a long, lanky grappler who's going to be looking to get it to the ground. I think we get over 1.5 here. I think we're pretty safe. Even if we're not going to be safe, then let's do this as a flex play so that we can miss one and still get paid. Before we move on, let's go ahead and take a look at the takedown lines. Temba Garimbo at 1.5. Seok Ko at 2.5. I'm not going to touch the Temba one. I don't know if he's going to take down Jeremiah Wells. He might. He's got plenty of fights where he's got plenty of takedowns, but Jeremiah Wells is a very accomplished black belt, so I don't necessarily want to just assume that Temba's going to be shooting takedowns. The co-line here is interesting because he does get takedowns. I believe he had 6 takedowns in his last fight. Phil is somebody who can be taken down, but Phil will also strike with you. So I don't know if Co's going to get 3 takedowns. 2.5 is a pretty high line. So we're going to leave this entry where it stands now. Let's go ahead and take a look. I do already have this placed. We have David Onama more than 35.5 significant strikes. Billy Elikana more than the 1.5 round line. And Waldo Cortez Acosta more than his 1.5 round line. You can do this as a flex play. That is always the recommendation because these are fist fights and you never know what's going to happen. If you like this entry, great. If you don't, that's fine. Build your own. Just build it with the free money that you got from going to wewantpicks.com/prizepicks and using promo code WWP.